Catsynth TV. Hey everybody, Catsynth TV! And today we are looking at the new effects and features in version 2 of the FX collection from our friends at Arturia. This is going to be a multi-part series, so please do subscribe to see more of these and other demos coming out regularly. And please do consider supporting us via Patreon or Ko-Fi. Links in the description below. Version 2 of the FX collection includes 22 effects and plugins, including an expanded set of modulation effects and a new set of bus effects. In Part 1, we will focus on the bus effects, which include equalizers, compressors, limiters, and more. We are actually using all three of them in the mix buses for this video. First up is the EQ SITRAL-295. It is based on a stereo EQ from a Siemens SITRAL console of the 1970s. It has controls for high-pass and low-pass filters. There is the low shelf, the presence controls with frequency and gain, and a high shelf. There is a final gain control for the output, and several global controls. You can switch between the original system behavior and an alternate mode, and there are switches to unlink the stereo control, apply automatic gain, and toggle between left-right and middle-side stereo modes. There is also this really cool visualization mode, showing the spectrum of the sound as well as the frequency response of the EQ. Now this EQ is much more subtle than the usual type we apply to individual channels or synthesizer effects chains. Let's try it out with a track from one of my previous videos, featuring drums by G. Calvin Weston. We'll start by setting some of the controls to their extremes, like the high and low filters. And now the low shelf, high shelf, and presence. Let's move things around a bit. Yeah, now we're starting to get somewhere. It takes a lot of trial and error to learn how to dial in the sound that you want. Let's switch to mid-side mode, where the channels are applied to the center and sides of the stereo field instead of the left and right. I find this to be a quite powerful way to work with bus effects on mixes or submixes. Okay, that's getting a little too crunchy there. Let's try some of the factory presets that come with this EQ. Okay, now we're going to turn our attention to the DIODE-609, a stereo compressor and limiter inspired by the popular Neve 33609. It recreates the look and feel of the original as well as its features. There is a compressor section that can be switched on and off, and has controls for the threshold where the compression kicks in, the attack and recovery rates, the ratio, which is the amount of compression applied, and a makeup gain value. The limiter is similar to the compressor, but more aggressive in that it doesn't let amplitudes higher than the threshold pass. It also has a recovery control for how quickly the gain returns to normal after the limiter kicks in. There are global controls for wet-dry mix, linking the stereo controls, and switching between left-right and middle-side stereo modes. The meters can be the classic style that emulates the originals, or a modern display that shows the compression and sound levels. It's really intended to work in tandem with the EQ, so we'll put them in series and try them out together with the same track from earlier. Let's try the limiter. now the compressor. As mentioned earlier, the effect can be quite subtle, especially with complex material. You can hear the volume increase as we ease off the limiter. It's really about listening and practicing to get the sound you want. Let's try a few of the provided presets. This one is a bit softer. As we switch to a 4:1 ratio on the compressor, you will hear the difference, even with the makeup gain much lower. I kinda dig this sound. But let's put more dynamic range back in. Of course, the Neve 33609 has a reputation as being good for drums, so let's try it with a drum submix, again featuring G. Calvin Weston. You really hear how the limiter takes away a lot of the amplitude in the sound. Let's bring in the compressor. This is really messing with the hi-hat and other transients. This is where changes in the attack and recovery really make a difference. Let's slow things down a bit. Okay, now let's bring up the Advanced panel, which provides access to the sidechain parameters. The sidechain is used to drive the compressor and limiter, and is usually just the dry input signal. But we can use an alternate signal to drive the sidechain. Here we set it up to use an electric piano track. It's different in every DAW, but in Pro Tools you use the key input. If you have questions about how to do this in your DAW, please leave a comment below and we'll try to help. Let's preview the external sidechain. And let's bring back the process signal. Using the external sidechain produces some weird results, and I have never actually used this method outside of this demo. Let's apply the big compression preset. You can hear how much the signal is affected by using the amplitude of the electric piano. Okay, enough of that, Miss Shugana. Let's look at the final plugin, Bus Force. This is an original design that provides a full channel strip. There is a parametric equalizer modeled after the classic Pultec design, a filter section, a compressor, and finally a saturation section. The saturation adds harmonic content to the sound, and can be thought of as the thing that adds color or warmth to a mixer or channel strip. The Bus Force has a signal chain that allows one to mix dry, non-saturated, and saturated signals in the output, as well as the ability to mute each of these paths. For now, we're going to stick with the full feature path, which we will demo with the same sound and electric piano track used previously. Let's start with the EQ, add a little of the Pultec curves, and start changing the frequency responses. Now let's experiment with the high-pass filter. That's pretty dramatic. Let's pull it back and roll off a bit of the high frequencies using the low-pass filter. Let's look at the compressor. And adjust the EQ to match. Now let's go to the saturation and add some harmonics. And add a touch of overdrive. Use that one sparingly. Too much overdrive can lead to distortion, which is kind of yuck. Same goes for the harmonics. This is a pretty nice sound. I like this. Let's try a few of the factory presets. This telephone thingy could be a special effect for a specific channel. This one kinda sucks for this material. This preset is good, but needs a bit of tweaking to work with our track. We hope you've enjoyed this look at the new bus effects from Arturia, and have some ideas how you can use it in your own mixes. To find out more, please visit Arturia.com and check out the description below this video. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to CatSynth TV.